Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Feeling great, feeling fantastic. It's Monday. Let's treat it like a Friday and have a great day regardless of the day of the week. But I got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for the entire lower 48. We're going to talk about the remnants of Hillary. We're going to talk about what's going on out there in the Atlantic. We have another named storm, a little bit of a surprise. Especially compared to the information that I shared with you guys in last night's video. Tropical Depression 6 became GERT, or G name, had an explosion of convection, if you will, that allowed it to be dubbed a name. So we have GERT from Tropical Depression 6, and we have a solid chance to have the H name, which is Harold in the Gulf of Mexico, sometime over the next 24 hours. So we're going to talk about all that. We'll talk about the lower 48. We'll talk about this heat that is relentless and just won't go away. And we'll break it all down for you folks and have you guys prepared for your Monday and your beginning of the week. With that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It goes a long way, and I really appreciate the support over the month of August. It's been a pretty successful month. Really, the entire summer has, and I thank you all for supporting my channel by subscribing and liking the video. And welcome to the family if you're a new subscriber or just a new viewer. I appreciate you giving this channel an opportunity to get your information from. We got an awesome family-like atmosphere here. We look out for one another, and it has a little bit more of a personal feel. You guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over? As always, please put those in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. Do want to note, I am I would say a few mornings a week, I watch the neighbors' kids, take them to school, and sometimes it can get very rowdy in the background as the neighbors' kids is playing with my kids. And so you guys know the deal. If you're any kids in the background, it's just the way it is on this channel. So let's get rolling here. Water vapor loop. Listen, this is about as textbook as it gets. If you're not, I'm trying to word this in a way where I don't offend anybody. If you just don't know a whole lot about the weather, you just know the surface information, and I don't blame you if that's the case. Some people just don't have an interest in weather. Some people are just jumping on here to get the basic information. But as far as the water vapor loop, as far as the radar, as far as the pattern in general, the water vapor loop symbolizes what's going on to perfection. We have a massive ridge over the middle of the country. We have an upper level low off the coast of California, which is helping to yank the remnants of Hillary. Basically all the moisture associated with Hillary northward across the western U.S. and the Rockies, and strong winds, things like that. By the way, I hope you guys are faring well out there. The flooding situation really escalated yesterday evening, that's for sure. I hope you guys are doing well. And basically all this energy gets pumped north above this ridge, which is right here, and then just kind of brought into the north central U.S. and you got a westerly flow right here. It's pretty wild. And then at the same time, you got a wave under this ridge, a tropical wave that's going to try to become a tropical depression or a tropical storm, which would be Harold, the H name, and then make landfall in South Texas. Okay, so upper level low right here. What's left over of Hillary is heading this way, bringing moisture, especially on this side, right into here. Still strong winds, and all the other energy is getting carried this way. And then we have a trough digging down today into the northeast, which will reinforce your dry and coolish air for late summer standards that you guys have been getting pretty much all summer. It's been a very smooth sailing summer for you folks, that's for sure. But everybody up under this, you're being dominated by high pressure, and you just got a lot of hot, stagnant air. And on certain areas of this high pressure, it is very humid too, especially into Missouri and Iowa, where your heat indices are absolutely ridiculously hot. I mean, it is just burning up. This ridge basically is extending all the way into this region, so it's going to get very hot even in Georgia, where you got heat advisories today, I believe, or either that's Alabama, but I believe south central Georgia has heat advisories. South Carolina, no heat advisories today, but it's going to be very hot. And this is the general pattern. This wave is trapped up under this flow, if you will, and it's getting yanked westward into South Texas. So it shows what's going on very, very well on the water vapor loop. Really about as clean as it gets as far as knowing what the pattern is based off water vapor loop. And here it is. You look at heights anomalies and you look at the blues. This is basically symbolizes a cutoff low, an upper level low, a trough of low pressure. And then the orange color, that is, or the red color, that indicates ridging. And I mean, you can see it, right? This is this morning, what the GFS showing is happening. There's your trough, okay? And then there's your ridge, okay, which is influencing everybody that it's over. Okay, now up here you got a flow that's supporting this trough dig right in here. But, I mean, it shows it well. I mean, it just shows that. It honestly blows my mind how it looks on satellite, things like that. So sorry, geeking out a little bit on you guys. But you look at the radar, it shows it also. You see how this is all the moisture associated with Hillary. You still got flash flood warnings ongoing in California, areas in Nevada. And you got all this moisture being yanked northward. And then it gets all the way into Montana. So you basically got this area of rain that's just going from here to here to here, all the way to over here. Okay, then you got a trough dig moving into the northeast. And then the waves down here. And then in this entire area of the country, nothing. Nothing's going on. We need rain really badly in areas of Texas, Louisiana, even surrounding states. We really, really need rain. But this ridge is entrenched into the pattern and really dominating the weather pattern right now. You can even tell what's going on based off the Storm Prediction Center. Okay, you do have a marginal risk that extends basically from Arizona up through Utah, through extreme western Wyoming, all the way into Montana, where I think they could get some strong to severe storms today. Then a little bit of a westerly flow on top of this ridge will support some strong to severe storms, the possibility of them for areas of northeast Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and then a very small section of the western UP of Michigan. Okay, and then we got a very small marginal risk down here in South Texas. And I really think these storms will come later in the period, like overnight tonight, with the approaching of what could be a tropical depression or tropical storm Harold. Right now, as of right now, just an invest. It is not a tropical depression, but that definitely could change. If you're viewing this and it's like later this afternoon, you're thinking, Mitch, you're giving us the wrong information. Just note, I mean, an update from the National Hurricane Center literally drops in about an hour. So, you know, things could change. Things are changing quick. I did not think Tropical Depression 6 would become GERT, but, I mean, they dubbed it a name. So, we look at the excessive rainfall outlook. Thankfully, things have substantially decreased, which we expected, but still a very large slight risk. It's kind of weird here into Utah and northern Arizona, but still up. We're light to moderate. At times, heavy rain is continuing to fall here in California, Nevada, eastern Oregon, up through Idaho, and then portions of western Montana. So basically, the remnants of Hillary is continuing to deliver that tropical moisture all the way up into actual Canada. So pretty wild to see. So we look at watches and warnings. We're still dealing with the flood watches, still dealing with the high wind warnings. And then here in the burgundy kind of dark red color, that is flash flood warnings that are ongoing right now. So this is from all the rains from Hillary. It's pretty wild, unusual setup. You know, what's even crazier is we had an earthquake in Los Angeles yesterday in the middle of a tropical storm on the west coast. So all that is just very unusual, very odd, but here we are. Here it is. We got all these excessive heat warnings in this kind of this purple color, this dark pink purple color right here. Even excessive heat watches into Chicago, Milwaukee, up into Indianapolis. And the excessive heat warning extending all the way into basically the entire western half of Kentucky now. I have a feeling they'll probably get extended down to the western portions of Tennessee, even northern Mississippi. But you got the red flag warnings too on top of the excessive heat warnings. So not only is it blistering hot, it's very dry. Red flag warnings means it's very dry, and you don't want to light a cigarette. You don't want to light anything that will spark a flame or just create a spark. We don't want anything to do with that out here. Heat advisories now starting to extend. I guess I was right here in the central Georgia, central areas of Alabama. I got a feeling these heat advisories will get pushed and maybe extended southward and then pushed eastward into South Carolina, probably for tomorrow, where I'm expecting tomorrow to be very hot. Got a feeling they're going to cancel our soccer practice again because of the heat. Just be nice if we can get this heat out of here for everybody. It really would be. Let's talk about the southeast first. Yeah, you can see the moisture down here in the Gulf of Mexico just cruising through. But everybody else, pretty quiet. We could have a pop-up shower storm, very possible in southeast Georgia. We could have some lingering showers, maybe a storm in South Florida. Definitely not as widespread as we've seen, like last week. But here comes this wave. We're getting into this evening. This wave is just chugging across. But if you look at that number right here, watch as it's slowly dropping. That means it's trying to strengthen upon approach to South Texas. So we're getting into tomorrow morning. And I think tomorrow morning we will be dealing, this time tomorrow morning, we'll be dealing with an approaching landfall in either tropical depression or tropical storm Harold. So we'll talk about that. I'll try to get a video in tonight, and we'll get you one last update for you folks in South Texas. Hopefully it doesn't do any crazy strengthening into like a strong tropical storm. I don't think it has I just don't think it has enough time to do all that. It's cruising across the Gulf of Mexico at a pretty quick clip. So luckily it's not going to have time to strengthen over those bathwaters of the Gulf of Mexico. Everybody else in the southeast, pretty chill. Not a whole lot going on. We don't need it to be chill. We need it to be rainy into Louisiana, further north in Texas, but unfortunately, even South Mississippi, I mean, you guys are getting very dry too. I've heard a lot of people mention. The Northeast today, you're waking up to some pretty humid conditions, but it'll be a totally different air mass compared to what you're dealing with this morning. And then by the time we get into this evening, into overnight tonight, the atmosphere will totally change, and I'll show you what I mean here in a second. And with this approaching trough, think of this as a cold front, which is what it is. You could have some pop-up showers and downpours in Massachusetts, down here in the southern sections of Maine sometime this afternoon, this evening. Maybe a storm or two is quite possible into the southeast portions of Mass. Rhode Island, into Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard later this evening. Certainly Cape Cod could certainly experience some showers and storms later this evening. And then the dry air moves in, and you get another blast of cool fall-like air. All right, so this is dew points, not temperatures, dew points. So dew points, you're waking up in the 50s and 60s, mostly 60s. Some of this dry air is already starting to slip into extreme northern sections of New York State. But watch as the atmosphere clears out. Okay, you'll feel a difference. Basically from northwest to southeast today. By the time you get to just afternoon, this dry air is oozing in. The humidity will really spike in southern New England, and you'll be sweating bullets out here. Dew points into the upper 60s, maybe low 70s. But as you get into this evening, say this is around 10 p.m. If you're, I don't ever stay up till 10 p.m., but a lot of people do. Look at the dry air oozing in. You go from dew points in the upper 60s to dew points in the 50s. This is making it all the way down to northern PA. It's pretty much taken over the entire state of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Mass, all of Maine. Just the atmosphere basically clears out, and then, man, look at this. All the way down into Washington, D.C., and I think you'll wake up to a totally different air mass tomorrow morning. In fact, I know you will. For almost everybody, if not everybody in the Northeast. It's going to be beautiful, and you guys just continue to be saved by a brutally hot summer. It's been just smooth sailing for you folks, and it will continue to be. Now, it's a totally different story for our folks in the south central U.S. We could get some rain. Definitely some rain is possible, and sort of the higher terrain here in southwest Texas. Definitely some pop-up showers and storms later this afternoon. But outside of that, maybe you'll get a very surprise downpour or two sometime later this evening in the middle of Texas. But really, where all eyes are on this in South Texas, as basically this approaching tropical system is eyeing landfall right as we're waking up tomorrow morning. So the idea is, if you live anywhere from like Corpus Christi to Brownsville, we're going to wake up to some gusty winds, definitely some tropical conditions tomorrow, right around Highway 77, I believe, that connects Brownsville with kind of the Corpus Christi area. You're definitely going to get potentially a landfalling weak tropical storm or tropical depression tomorrow for sure. So that is why we have that marginal risk of severe weather, just because you're going to have the bands that begin to move into South Texas overnight tonight. The north central U.S., a little bit of a westerly flow on top of this ridge. So you're going to get some showers in the northern terrain of Minnesota, North Dakota. And then eventually you could get some storms that might fire here in kind of north central, northeast areas of Minnesota into the Duluth area. These might drift into northern Wisconsin later this afternoon. You could get some rain showers into extreme western areas of the UP and Michigan. But I don't think these are going to be a big deal at all. Now, I do think once you get into the overnight hours around midnight, some widespread showers, maybe some bursts of heavy rain could really take over northeast Minnesota. The western UP of Michigan, northern Wisconsin, and I definitely think you're going to get some rain overnight in, like I said, all those areas that I just mentioned. This eventually works its way all the way down to the southern section of Michigan, and you could be dealing with some rumbles of thunder in northern Wisconsin as you're waking up tomorrow morning. I think you'll definitely wake up to a damp ground in these areas as we're waking up tomorrow morning. We could always use the rain. Sometimes it gets very dry up here also. Okay, I meant to have this for the South Central time frame, but here we are. Temperatures, so my bad, guys. I hadn't done that in a long time. But this is temperatures for the South Central U.S. I meant to mention that in the South Central kind of frame. Blistering hot, guys, very, very hot conditions. It's pretty much a copy and paste in the last few days. And guys, when I say that, I'm not brushing this off, guys. It isn't, but unfortunately, it's true. There's no difference between today and the last few days. There really isn't. It's going to be miserably hot. It is. The only thing I would say is, the humidity isn't extremely high down here in Texas, but it is extremely high into Missouri, areas of Kansas, really eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, up into southern sections of Iowa, the Corn Belt region. Dew points will be brutal. So you basically combine these dew points that, are in the upper 70s to low 80s with air temperatures in the upper 90s. Your heat indices will be well over 110 to 120 degrees in this region today. So very hot conditions. So hopefully my folks in the South Central U.S. had some patience and worked their way. Sorry about that, mix those two frames up. But the Western U.S., the remnants of Hillary will continue to fly through. Rain has already pretty much taken over eastern Oregon. It will continue to rain pretty heavily in eastern Oregon throughout the day. You'll continue to have rounds of showers that kind of surge through Nevada, areas of northern California, and this will basically affect areas of kind of the central and north central sections of Idaho. And then we could have some storm development into this region right in here. This little belt right here, basically this moist feed. There could be some storms from northern Arizona through the heart of Utah, Salt Lake City, eastern areas of Idaho, Yellowstone National Park, all the way up into these higher terrain of Montana. Expect some storms into this region, into central areas of Montana later this afternoon, this evening. You're still dealing with these kind of areas of heavy rain, basically anywhere that you're seeing it. Central to eastern Oregon, even extreme eastern areas of Washington State. This eventually drifts into far northern Idaho, and it's definitely going to be a messy day out west. Just nothing compared to what we saw yesterday. But there could be a pretty stout area of organized storms kind of moving into the east central or northeast sections of Montana later today. We need to watch out for those. Those could certainly pack a punch for sure. And then we're waking up tomorrow morning with just still a little bit of rain falling out there in the western U.S. Rainfall between now and the next 24 hours. It really likes an area right up here in northeast areas of Oregon where 1 to 2 inches of rain could fall. Rain has already been falling in Nevada. You could get another inch or so of rain. It's quite possible. A little belt of rain where these storms could get going here right through the middle of Arizona, Utah, up through areas of Wyoming and the Montana. And then a lot of rain could fall right here in this section of Idaho into northwest sections of Montana. So a lot of winds too. We got gusty winds right now in Nevada. These will continue to make their way into southern sections of Idaho. Once you get into about mid to late morning, if you're in southern Idaho, winds will really pick up. I'm talking 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts. And then these will make it all the way into southwest sections of Montana. It will get very breezy probably. And Yellowstone National Park, very windy in Utah around 12 p.m., noon. And these continue. These strong winds make it all the way up into Montana. So, this still has some gusty winds with it. It's going to be gusty, very breezy out there. Could make the power flicker, things like that. So definitely know that y'all got some gusty winds coming for Idaho and those states that I just mentioned later this morning. Let's give you an update on the tropics. So this is as of right now. Make sure there's no update. The surprise is GERT. G-E-R-T. We took the G name right here. GERT is not going to last long regardless. It had a burst of convection overnight that allowed it to be dubbed a name. Okay. We still got Emily. Emily's not going to bother anybody. And then we need to watch this wave off the coast of Western Africa, Northwest Africa, okay? This will likely develop into something, probably a depression over the next few days. And a lot of model guidance has this strengthening into something, okay? Franklin is by far the most threatening storm to the Dominican Republic and Haiti. It is a 50-mile-per-hour storm, so it has strengthened. I have a feeling that it might be a little stronger here on the next update. It might be a 55, 60-mile-per-hour storm, as Franklin is popping off some intense convection this morning in a period of favorable strengthening for tropical systems that we call diurnal maximum, which occurs in the morning. And then we have the wave right here. Invest 91L here in the Gulf of Mexico still has that 70% chance to become a tropical depression or storm. They're saying tropical storm watches or warnings might be necessary later today in South Texas. Okay, so we look at the satellite, what's going on. I'm not going to talk about what's going on further east because those are not threatening right now. They might not ever be. In fact, I would say they probably aren't. So we're not going to talk about Gert, Emily, or the Invest way out in the main development region. We're going to talk about what could be Harold, which is right here in the Gulf of Mexico, and then what is Franklin. All right, this is Franklin. All right, Franklin's popping off some pretty intense convection. You see these whites and purples and pinks. That indicates cold cloud tops, which means we have some very, very tall cloud tops, which means we have intense convection going on. When you have those taller cloud tops, that indicates taller storms, stronger storms, things like that. And this thing is popping some intense convection right now. Looks like a pretty healthy tropical storm. This is having that circular spin to it. We just need a defined low-level circulation. We'll find out if we'll get that over the next 12 hours for sure. So we continue to move. The Dominican Republic, Haiti right here. I mentioned that because that'll be a topic in this video. One thing that's affecting Franklin right now, so many names, it's easy to get things tongue-twisted and mix up some names. It's being affected by some westerly shear. So basically, there's some shear around top of the storm. You can see how the convection kind of flattens off, and basically there's a stout gradient right here between convection and no convection. That is because you're getting some of the shear from this little bit of a tut, upper level low, that's moving in this area right here. So there's basically competing flows kind of right now. That's why Franklin's kind of moving slow. But what's going to happen is Franklin will continue to kind of just drift around out here in the eastern central, kind of east central areas of the Caribbean, and eventually this massive trough, this upper level trough, digs down here across the South Atlantic into areas of the Caribbean, and there is basically a pool that goes around this like that. Okay, you can actually see the streamlines right here. So basically this yanks down, okay, and then you get a pull on this storm from the west, so it yanks it back northward, okay, and this eventually will get this storm and most likely try to pull it that way, and then this trough will weaken, and then it'll try to go back that way. So this kind of upper level trough is really what's going to yank this storm back north, and then inevitably probably make a landfall as a probably strong tropical storm into the Dominican Republic. So that's what's driving this. This is a pretty stout trough down here into the the tropics. We typically don't see nothing extensive like this, but here we are. So we'll get this off the screen. So, this continues to chug northward, and like I said, this is why it's getting pulled north. Now we look at the actual GFS with this, and it actually has Franklin somewhat struggling because of the shear on top of the storm. But eventually, shear weakens as basically an upper level trough kind of pulls down, and you see how this number right here drops to a 993 millibar low pressure based off the GFS sometime Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, and that is when it wants to make landfall. So if you're tuning in from the Dominican Republic, Haiti, this looks like it's going to make some kind of landfall on you guys sometime overnight Tuesday night, maybe until Wednesday morning, as a pretty robust tropical storm. It could try to reach Category 1 hurricane status. We'll see. And then this crosses over the Dominican Republic, still is being influenced by that upper level trough, and you got basically that flow out the west is pushing this kind of back east, and it almost goes due east, and then it takes a quick turn back north because strong tropical systems always want to gain further latitude, and then it feels that weakness. It starts to head north, and we still need to watch Bermuda. Bermuda's that little dot right here, and the latest GFS says this is going to plow right into Bermuda, but that doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. So keep in mind, stronger systems feel currents from higher upper level winds than weaker systems do. Weaker systems do not feel currents as much from those upper level winds. And, you know, think of it like this. These higher cloud tops feel those upper level winds more. So with such robust convection, with a stronger tropical system, that is why it's getting yanked northward from this upper level trough and these winds like 30, 40,000 feet up in the air. If this was a very weak system, it would probably still get pulled northward as there's winds going in the same direction in those mid levels also, but it would probably drift around a little bit more. So hope that makes sense. Rainfall, you see this kind of fist of heavy rain right over the eastern areas of the Dominican Republic. Yeah, I mean, that's 8 to 12 inches of rain, guys. So please be prepared. There's going to be gusty winds, I'm sure, 30 to 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, and a lot of, the potential for catastrophic rain. Okay, we'll continue to keep you guys updated for sure. Now you look over here, in the Gulf of Mexico. All indications say that this is going to try to strengthen pretty quickly right before it makes landfall. So we get to this evening, and then we get to overnight tonight. You see the L emerge, and then we get to Tuesday morning, and this is making landfall based off the GFS as a 1,000 millibar low pressure storm. So that to me will tell me that this is definitely a tropical depression or a very weak tropical storm. Making landfall, like I said, somewhere between Brownsville and Corpus Christi, kind of right on to Padre Island National Seashore. Okay, we could potentially have Idalia sometime out there too. Hopefully I said that right. I think it's pronounced Idalia. You know, guys, I'm terrible with pronouncing things, but that is the next name behind Harold. Okay, we could have that storm sometime later this week, so we got to watch. All right, but rainfall for South Texas. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Corpus Christi. Where's Corpus Christi? Right. I like to say Corpus Crispy sometimes, so definitely correct me. Corpus Christi right here. You know, you can get some appreciable rain a little bit further north too. I mean, up here into like the Rockport area. Victoria might get a little rain, but unfortunately the rainfall forecast for Houston has actually dropped. You guys need the rain. Once you head down Highway 77, you're going to get some appreciable rain, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain. So talk about winds probably tonight if we can get a video in tonight. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Stay hydrated. Heat is just relentless. And I really hope we can get this ridge of high pressure out of here soon enough. So God bless all y'all. Have a great Monday, and I'll talk to you soon.